So you got the name Mama Bear because the first day that anybody in our company met you, you almost fought somebody else to defend the honor of Larry. Do you remember that?
I do.
I believe you remember that. And from that day on, we were like, damn, I would not fuck with Tana. No way. You didn't work for Active Life yet. You were an attendee at a seminar that we were teaching in Atlanta at CrossFit Terminus, if I remember
That's
correctly.
correct, yep.
I think it was April of 2019.
19.
Yeah. You and Richard was there too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if there's anybody else who was there who's still a client or was a client now. Anyway, you want to rehash what happened there so people can know where that story came from?
Do I tell it better than you?
I don't know. Let's hear you tell it, and if you blow it, I'll fix it.
Okay. The thing that was happening was that Larry was describing his transition out of a space where he was seeing clients, and he was talking about taking his clients with him, not maliciously removing his clients, advocating for the clients what was best for them. Mm-hmm. There was a gym owner in attendance that was like, no, those are my clients. You have no right to do that. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I remember is like, you're out of your mind. Those are his clients. Actually, let's back up. Those people are their own. Mm-hmm. They don't belong to anyone. All he's doing is pointing them in the path of what's best for them. They get to decide.
Mm-hmm. So I'll add the color for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was the end of day 1, or was it the end of day 2?
1.
Yeah, because I remember that's right. Because we went to the
that
brewery afterwards, and I was like, "This is so awkward. These two chicks almost just fought." So Larry was working at New York Sports Club, which is a town sports business, which at the time, I can't speak to how they are now, was a pile of shit on fire in terms of the way that they treated the people who worked there. So it didn't matter how many clients he worked with, he was never going to be able to make enough money to even live in the town where the gym was. I think he capped out at like $32 a session, and they were selling them for like $100. So he went to the gym owner, or to the manager, because the owner is a corporate entity, and did everything he could to try and see if there was a way that they could change the way that he was paid to work with the clients. And when they said no, he realized, okay, I have no choice. I have to leave. I can't make a career here. And when he left, all of his clients, all of them, almost $15,000 a month worth of revenue to the gym, said to him, wherever you're going, I'm going. And so the gym had $15,000 of revenue walk out the front door the day that Larry left. Not, like you said, because Larry was like, this place sucks, you should leave with me, but because they were like, this place sucks, I'm leaving with you. Mm-hmm. And they went to work with him at the rec center in town. Now, for those of you who don't know the rec center in Long Beach, which is most of you, the floor in there is uneven. And I'm talking about a room that's like, I don't know, 30 by 50, the whole room, maybe. And the floor's on a slant. All of the barbells are warped. So like if you rolled the barbell, you would see it just wong, wong, wong. You can't bench press without your wrists being on fire. People are in there still wearing their headphones that have the antennas that pop out of the top, right? There's a steam room in there, and old men routinely shave in the steam room. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Membership is like $15 a month for a local resident, and it's not worth it. And Larry had $15,000 worth of clients follow him there. And he told that story at the end of the first day to talk about creating mutually beneficial relationships for both the member, the staff, and the owner. Mm-hmm. And one of the owners who was there was a CrossFit gym owner, basically was like, that's nonsense. You don't do that. Those are my clients, not the trainer's clients. And before Larry could say anything, you were like, those are not your clients. Those were his clients. And maybe if the gym paid him enough to stay there, it would be worth it for him and the clients to stay. She was she was a client of a company that taught her to pay what they call the 4/9 model, mm-hmm. which means in theory actually makes some sense, but it's never applied appropriately. Sure. In theory, it's your payroll should never exceed 44% of revenue. Fine. But in practical application, the way that most of the gyms who operate with it run is they pay a coach 15, 20, even $30 to coach a class, and then 44% of what they charge for personal training, which they then oftentimes also cap at like $70, $75 because they don't think people will buy it. It's not fair to charge them more. So there's no path to freedom for a coach.
Right.
And you called her to task on that. And we averted physical violence, which was good.
Good for her.
That's true. So you then went back and basically convinced the gym owner you were working with that your gym should be clients with us.
Yes.
We'll fast forward through all of that because there were highs and there were lows there. COVID hits, a lot of things start to change. You end up leaving the gym and you end up coming and working at Active Life.
Yes.
Talk me through that.
Leaving the gym or working for Active Life?
You don't have to talk about the gym. What made you want to come and work for Active Life for the incredible salary starting at $0?
$0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember this phone call like it was yesterday. I was standing on my driveway. It's 2020. Not a lot of work happening that year, right? Working from home. And I saw your name pop up on my phone, and I'm like, there's just one of two things. I'm in trouble, or I should be really excited right now. And you're like, listen, there are people on the team that seem to believe that you need to be here for a sales position. I believe that too. Do you want to do it? It comes with the promise of $0. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's enticing. And I think I asked you a couple questions. What does it look like? Here's the things that I have concerns about. I wasn't concerned. I didn't have that many concerns because it didn't matter. I was ridiculously committed to what was happening at Active Life. I'd seen it work with my clients, and when I was with you guys in Atlanta at the seminar and through the immersion, what I was experiencing was the kind of people that had the audacity to show up that way. And I was like, if I do not associate with those kind of people, where do I go?
What do you mean the audacity to show up that way? What way?
The mission, the honesty, the authentic version of the things that you say to people, just the relentlessness, and there's no pause from the people that are here at Active Life.
What do you mean no pause?
No pause as in like all gas, no brake.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Sales wasn't exactly the best position for you. It wasn't the best role. Not that you weren't good at it. It was just not the best use of your energy. What was it like to be in a role? So let me back up a step. We weren't even a real company. Like I was straight up shooting from my hip. Like, I like that person. I think they could be great here. I have no budget to pay them, but if they come and they sell, we can pay them that, and then we'll figure it out from there.
I remember you saying that.
Okay. So what was it like being in a sales quote department, more like a hodgepodge? We had no tools, like none. What was it like? How did you stick through that?
That's a good question. There was a point at the end before I transitioned to my other role where I was like, this has to change, or I don't know that I can keep doing this. Not because I don't want to, because one, I don't think that this is the right position for me, which means it doesn't support the company in the way that it needs to. And two, I lack fulfillment in doing it. The thing that continued to keep me there was the people that I was being surrounded by, because even though it wasn't the right position for me, being with people like Larry, being with people like Nick, they were pushing me to be better in ways that I didn't know I needed to be better in.
Like what?
The conversational pieces, communication, the drive, right? There were times where it was like, oh, you're a little low today. That's okay. Listen in and observe, and you can give feedback today. You're not getting off the hook next time, though. I need stuff like that.
I don't remember how you ended up transitioning out of sales and into whatever your next role was. Do you?
Yes. I had a couple of conversations, and there was some with you, with Larry, with Nick.
Okay.
There are some other people that are no longer here.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to leave. Zero part of me wants to leave, but I need to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
There was some movement happening within the company. I'm like, I think we can figure this out.
Was this the August 2020 timeframe?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like 6 months I'd been in sales.
Mm-hmm.
We did some moving around. Like, we're going to start you over here. Do a really great job with the coaches that are in our ProPath gyms.
Mm-hmm.
Start having conversations with them. Start helping guide them in the right direction. In the curriculum, whatever they need, figure it out. Okay, we did that. The opening became available as the ALP facilitator. And the conversation around that was, what was presented to me was, we know you're the only person that can do this. If you say no, we have to go figure out who that person is. And I'm like, well, good thing for you. I'm not going to say no.
What did that job entail?
The original ALP facilitation job included the facilitating the calendars, making sure that the courses dropped to the right people, making sure that they had their outlines, schedules, showing up to the calls. It was very, very admin based.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also because we were very not systems yet.
Right. Yes, we didn't have a lot of systems in place.
It's amazing that we were effective.
We were, though.
I know. It's just amazing. We were effective both at getting clients and at serving clients, and we knew what we were doing in terms of how we wanted them to learn and what we wanted them to be able to do. We had no idea what we were doing in terms of running a company of our own.
Right. Right. The thing that I started doing when I showed up there was reaching out to every single person we had in ALP and making sure that they got on a call and understood the direction that they were going. And my belief is that was the first initiation on my part of unexpected value for them.
What do you mean?
In that that's not something that they were expecting.
Why not?
Because it wasn't part of what they signed up for.
What did they sign up for?
They signed up for education.
Okay. And what did they get?
They got education, pieces of mentorship that was not completely fleshed out or skillful on my part. Mm-hmm. And they got a culture of people with similar interests.
Okay. So how did that start to evolve?
Which part?
I mean, you did that, and you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I still mentor some clients.
I know, but it's not informal anymore. It's not a facilitator role anymore. It's a leadership role of a totally different team. Like, let's start with, what is your job now? What is your responsibility now?
I now lead the entire professional team, the mentors in ProPath and ALP, and then mentor a handful of clients myself.
What's your favorite part of that job?
My favorite part of that job is developing the mentors to solve problems for their clients.
Why is that something that you enjoy?
Because I believe that my unique ability lies solely in collaborative problem solving.
Okay, that's interesting. What makes you say that?
Why is that my unique ability, or why do I love it?
Why do you think that's your unique ability? So for people who don't know, we're defining unique ability as something that you love to do and something that you're good at. Mm-hmm. And so you love to do it, you're good at it. If we can make money putting somebody in that position, we're going to do it. So what makes that your unique ability? Why do you think that's true?
The reason that let me go back. I grew up with 6 siblings. Very conflict-heavy environment. All in good ways, mostly.
Mm-hmm. All mostly good.
All mostly good. A lot of love, a lot of conflict. Mm-hmm. When you can mitigate that in a way that's like, I hear you, I hear this side, I hear this side, here's how we're going to move forward. When I started noticing that I was good at that naturally, I'm like, this is easy. I want to do this with people with bigger problems that I'm inspired to collaborate with. So that collaboration comes not only from our team, but the clients as well.
What's an example of a bigger problem?
I don't make any money. I don't have any time for my wife or my kid. That's a big problem.
So, okay, the first one I think is fairly obvious for people who would be considering working with us. The second one's not. How does, what's that?
Time.
No, I don't know. Yeah, no time for my wife or kid. How does that kind of stuff come up on calls?
Typically, it comes up either in the thing that I'm interested in doing is having a life to live outside of the one that I currently have.
That's what someone would say to you.
Yeah.
And what's your response to something like that?
What does that look like to you?
How often do people know how to describe it?
Often.
Okay.
Because they've never been able to see outside what they currently exist in.
But so how, okay, if they can't see outside of what they exist in, how are they able to clearly articulate what they want? Because
they have an idea, they don't know how to articulate it. So my job is to help them articulate it in a way that's tangible, and then go, great, now we can see through the forest. Let's backtrack and let's see what the first step is.
What does a conversation like that look like?
If somebody can tell me, after we've gone through the weeds of it, I want to work 25 floor hours, all in 35. I want to play golf on the weekends with my buddies. Not every weekend, every other weekend. I want to make sure that my wife has time for herself because that's really important to me. I have a son or daughter, and I want to be the best kind of dad I can possibly be. What that means to me is being present, showing up for them as they continue to grow older in their sports, whatever the thing is. Then it's, right, where do you think your blind spot is in making that happen?
Meaning, where is your blind spot into how to make it happen?
Yes.
Right, like where are you lacking the skills or the resources?
Yes, where are you lacking the skills or the resources?
What's the most typical answer to that?
I don't know how to manage my time. I don't value my time.
They know they don't value their time?
No.
Okay, so
you need to make sure that they know.
How do you do that?
You help them understand that the skills that they have are already valuable, right? Because most of them are coming in with some sort of coaching skill set that is valuable. And that if they continue to undercharge and not grow their skill set, they will continue to limit their ability to help people solve their problems and in turn solve their own.
Okay. And when you have that conversation with people, if you don't charge enough, you can't do these things. And if you can't do these things, you're withholding these things, which is selfish and detrimental to everybody involved. Is that a long dance, or is it just like you just say the sentence I just said and that's the end of it?
No, it's a long dance.
Okay.
It can be. It can be short for the right person.
Right, people who want to hear things very directly, who just take it and move on.
Yes.
Which, by the way, is great until you don't speculate on something long enough and you make a rash decision that is improper.
Sure.
So there's benefit to both. You were going to say something.
Yeah. Even the people that like that and want to hear it directly and are like, got it, they still need reminders. There are going to be things that come up because that belief was instilled in them for a long time, right? And so when something comes up, it's like, hey, do you believe that the reason you feel that way right now is because of this thing that we talked about previously? Yes, possible.
What's an example of this thing we talked about previously?
The not valuing your time.
What is one of the heaviest things you've ever heard from a client?
That's a loaded question.
Loaded? Meaning you've heard a lot of heavy things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one of the heaviest things I ever heard that resonates deeply with me because I'm a family person is the struggle in, I can't give a lot of context here, but the struggle in what would happen to their relationship with their families if these things continue to happen. And that was a very deep, dark thought, if you follow me there.
Totally. So how do you navigate something like that with a client of ours? And I want to give some perspective before you even answer this. People come to Active Life because they want to have a fulfilling career coaching people they're inspired to help. They don't come to Active Life because they expect to have a conversation with you or another mentor on our team about the deep-seated fear that they have and the loss of everything that is important to them if they don't change the way that they live. So we get into a situation like this. I'm curious how you navigate it and how they're taking it, given that they thought they were going to come learn about how much someone should be able to squat, deadlift, and reach down towards the floor.
All right, so I'm clear. You're asking how they take the difference in what they were expecting to get?
Let's start with what makes it so that they feel like they can have that conversation with you.
I'm typically a pretty vulnerable person, pretty open. I believe if we want that from our clients, it's our job to do it first.
Why is it important, though, that they do that?
Why is it important to them?
Why, in general? You know, most companies would never have these conversations with people. It's like, hey, change your prices, charge more sessions per week. Like, the math is simple here. Kind of like it's akin to hiring a nutrition coach who's calories in, calories out. You know, like if you eat fewer calories than you eat, and then if you burn more calories than you eat, you're going to lose weight. And so they're just doing the math on that without considering, why do you continue to choose the foods that you continue to choose at the times that you continue to choose them?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So with us, just to draw the parallel, it's I don't make enough money coaching to see myself doing this as a career long term. And I don't even know that the people that you're describing who want the kind of help that you're saying they want exist.
It's important because my belief, part of our belief, is that you don't create a functioning business that you feel fulfilled in without doing the inner work that's necessary to be a better person to get there.
Why? Like, the person who's listening to this is like, I know 7 assholes who make more money than I do. What are you
they
talking
happy?
about? I don't know. I imagine some of them are, some of them aren't.
Well, it's important for us to figure out if our client wants to be happy and what happiness looks like for them.
Why?
Because that's directly tied to the thing that they've described as success.
So what I'm hearing you say is that your job, our job, is not to teach them the money-making skills, the assessment skills, the coaching skills. It's to ensure that they have whatever skills are necessary to live the life that success that they came to us with a definition of is achievable. And along the way, they're going to learn those skills.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of those tactical skills that they will likely need in order to have successful businesses. But we're not creating a business that's exactly the same parameters for every person.
Right.
You're creating the type of business that fulfills on the life that they desire to have.
So is there ever pushback like, hey, listen, I'm here to learn how to teach people squats, not to talk to you about the lack of sex I'm having with my wife and the fear I'm having over the relationship ending?
I cannot remember the last time that was a thing. And I believe that has a lot to do with the conversations that are had before they enroll.
So how do you tread the line of this isn't therapy and I need you to become a different person?
The first part of that is saying it, right? This is not therapy. I want to make sure that I'm clear that anytime something comes up that I feel like I'm not suited to contribute to in this conversation, I'll let you know. Right? Make it obvious. And if you bring something to me, the likely thing that's going to happen is that I'm going to ask you some questions to help you understand what you believe your next direction needs to be.
Isn't it fascinating that we actually do know the answers to our biggest problems if people just ask us the right questions?
Often. It is fascinating.
Right, not always, but often enough. And it's wild that all we really need to do is be taught how to think about what we're thinking about. And then everything else falls into place.
Right.
What's the thing that you have that most of our clients struggle with? Like, what's the thing that, like, okay, if our team can help people with this problem, and we do over and over and over again, most people hit this spot where it's like, boom, problem. And then they either get over it and they're wildly successful, or they get stuck there for a long time.
I think this is two-sided. I think they hit the spot where it's either I'm afraid of success or I'm afraid of failure.
Go on. What do we do about that?
Help them understand why they're afraid of that thing.
Why would someone be afraid of success?
Because success means you need to do more, or that's their belief.
What does that mean?
That I'm going to have to work more. I'm going to have to get really gritty. I'm going to have to go back the direction I came from, right? And what I mean by that is what we were talking about earlier, where it's like I'm overworked. I don't have time. I'm afraid that if I'm going to be successful, that happens to me again.
That I get overworked and I don't have time.
Overworked, underpaid.
How do you overcome that?
Is that what's happening right now?
No.
You've seen success, right? The coach.
The client.
The client, yes. You've seen success. Yes. Are you going backwards? No. What are you afraid of? Well, I guess I'm not that afraid of success. I'm afraid that I can't solve the problems that I eventually want to solve. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's eventually. What problems can you solve right now? Mm-hmm. Are those problems that you're solving valuable? Yes. Do you need to be able to solve everything right now? No.
Right. What's an example of a problem they want to be able to solve that right now they can't?
And so we talk a lot about these pain problems that client comes. Physical pain, right? And there is fear from coaches. They're like, is this within my scope to do?
Sure. It's reasonable.
For sure. And I think that some of that fear also comes from the perception of other people.
What do you mean?
So a physical therapist saying you can't do that.
How do you help them navigate that? Because you want to avoid becoming the wedge between them and the physical therapist friend they have, yeah?
Right.
So what do you do?
You help them understand that you're a part of their team. You're not taking the place of the physical therapist.
But what I'm asking is, what do you do when the physical therapist is wrong?
You help the client self-advocate.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Ask enough questions.
So let me give a very specific example. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Because I get this all the time in my DM. I get like, you're doing irresponsible things at Active Life. You're teaching coaches to play doctor and they're not doctor. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I don't say that. I actually enjoy asking questions that, why do you think that? Mm-hmm. So you're saying that specifically this would be playing doctor? And this I like to give them all the time is, so what you're saying, I said, why do you think that we're teaching coaches to play doctor? And they're like, well, because the most common answer is because it's not a coach's job to help somebody get out of pain. And you teach coaches to help people get out of pain. So great. So what you're saying to me is that if somebody comes into a coach and their shoulder hurts when they hang from a bar, the coach should ignore that they said that and let them hang from the bar anyway. And they're like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm like, well, but that is a version of getting them out of pain, right? Because it was hurting when they did the exercise yesterday. Today they came in and said that hurt. The coach said, we're not going to do that again today, thereby getting them out of pain in that workout. Is that out of the scope of a coach? No. Okay. It hurts when I squat. My knee hurts when I squat. Some coaches would just say, okay, let's not squat. One of the coaches who we've educated might say, what kind of squat hurts your knee? Let's assess the range of motion of that knee and see if it's even capable of squatting. Mm-hmm. And if they determine that knee is capable of squat patterns, but maybe not to that depth. And so now they modify the depth, or they move from bilateral to unilateral, or from heavy load to light load, or from high rep to low rep, or from low rep to high rep, thereby eliminating the pain the person was dealing with for the day. Is that a coach playing doctor? Well, no, that's a coach doing a good job coaching. I'm like, great. Now, let's take it a step further. A client gets back pain whenever they do pull-ups, CrossFit style pull-ups, because they don't have midline control. Mm-hmm. And the coach can see that they're flopping all over the place. They're hyperextending and they're flexing too much. So it's this big like spring that's getting loaded and unloaded and loaded and unloaded. And the coach says, you know what? We're going to tighten up your technique. And the pain goes away. Is that a coach playing doctor? No. Okay, what if the coach tightens up the technique and the pain remains? And then the coach says, you might need more stiffness through your midline. Let's add some strength to the midline and see what happens. And they add strength to the midline. And the pain goes away doing the full expression of the movement. Did that coach play doctor? No. Okay. Do me a favor and do some research before you come here and shoot arrows and throw stones at what you think we're doing when you have no idea. And the predominance of people who we are helping get out of pain without going to the doctor or missing the gym at Active Life and through the coaches who we develop to become professionals like ones you've never even met in your entire life starts after a physical therapist like you tells them this is the best it's going to get.
Right.
And that's typically the end of our conversations. I don't remember why I was sharing that story.
We were talking about the fear of coaches. The coach saying, I'm afraid that there's a perception around what I'm doing.
How do you do that?
You do it like that.
So you teach them to go through that line of questions.
Help them see that they are not doing what the doctor or the physical therapist is doing. They're doing whatever version that they know and understand how to do to help the client. Mm-hmm. And any good doctor and physical therapist would support that.
Now, most of your role is actually helping our staff develop our clients or reveal the exceptional in our clients is a better way to put it. Mm-hmm. What does that job look like? Because we have some really impressive people on staff.
Very impressive.
And and you're Mama Bear.
I thought I was the Doberman Pinscher. Cody called me Mama Bear.
Who called you Doberman Pinscher?
You did.
Well, your Mama Bear's better. I've changed my mind. Okay? Anyway, yeah, I like Dobermans too, but Mama Bear's a better description.
I agree.
You have people who are impressive who come to you for leadership. What's it like to have people who are physical therapists, high-achieving coaches, earning, who've left, frankly, earning $8,000 to $10,000 a month for the privilege of coming to work for us for less because they believe in the mission that we have long-term is going to pay them financially and absolutely pays them emotionally today. What is that responsibility like?
It's really humbling and inspiring. There's this, I wish I could give credit where credit is due, and I can't remember where I saw this. It was a while back.
It's probably me.
No, actually, I commented on one of your posts, and you were like, oh, I like that. It said, it's not about being in charge. It's about those in your charge. All right. And so I think that being able to lead a group of people that we're talking about, some of the most impressive people I've ever met, some of the people I respect more than anyone out there, is that there's an immense amount of gratitude that comes from my part to be in the position that I'm in. And they make me better, right? There are things that they see that I don't, and they challenge me, and I get to challenge them back. And there's this just absolute hunger for growth happening that is incredible. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever find yourself unable to give them the question or the leadership that they need because you haven't experienced their problem or haven't been able to think about the problem that they're dealing with?
I don't think so.
Do you ever find yourself in a position where you're learning more from them than they're learning from you?
I imagine that's true at times.
What's that like? And the reason I'm asking it is one of the fine lines that I love a person who can toe is when you have people in your charge who you don't have to know everything to help. In fact, you learn from them almost as often as they learn from you. And you have the freedom and the self-esteem to say, you did that really well. Would you show me what you did there? Mm-hmm. What's that?
That's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I want them to be elevated when something like that happens. So it's not just teach me, hey, Kaylin, did this in one of his calls. I heard him say this, and I was really impressed by it. Kaylin, can you walk the team through how you got to that place?
Mm-hmm. One of the hardest things I've had to learn as our team lead. And by the way, I think that the person who might have originated, it's not about who's in charge, but who is in their charge, could be Rich Davini. He wrote the book, The Attributes. He came on the podcast a long time ago, maybe almost 3 years ago, and maybe even 4 years ago. And he said something along the lines of, there's a person in charge and there's a leader, and they're not often the same person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, the person in charge is the one with the anointed responsibility and perhaps the higher pay, but the leader is the one who everyone in the group follows when the person in charge is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sounds similar to what you're describing. And our goal at Active Life is that the person in charge is also the leader.
Right.
One of the hardest things for me to learn as the leader of our team is how to let people fail and not get upset, pour the lessons in, and be patient with it. And you're someone who, I remember the first time that I watched you do something, I was like, that wasn't how I would have wanted that to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to be done that way so that she could see the response to it, so that she would remember to do it differently next time. And I want to hear your experience of my experience. So for me, it was when you had to let somebody go for the first time. Mm-hmm. And you were letting the team know that you let this person go.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, hey, I let this person go because they were no longer living up to the requirements and the expectations of the job, and we could no longer tolerate it despite all of the efforts that we made to try and keep this person on the team. Mm-hmm. That's along the lines of what I would have liked for you to have said at the time. Mm-hmm. And instead, you said this person has decided to move on because you wanted to protect them.
Yes.
What was that learning like? Like, what did you learn through that?
There wasn't enough honesty there for the team.
Mm-hmm. How did you know that?
Because they knew that wasn't true. Mm-hmm. And they had their own experiences that mm-hmm. were like, I can see that coming. Mm-hmm. Right? So in hindsight, and yes, I believe that experience you're talking about was pivotal for me.
That's interesting because it was one of the hardest ones for me to be patient on. So I want to hear why it was so pivotal for you. I'll tell you why it was hard for me to be patient on. We were in a state of flux as a company, and it was the beginning of an avalanche of some of these people shouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases, we're going to let them decide.
Sure.
We're going to say, this is the standard, meet it, or please don't be here. Mm-hmm. And in some of the cases, we said, look, this just isn't the right fit. And no hard feelings, you're a good person, it just doesn't make sense here. Either way, this was one of the first ones. And I felt like in the moment that there was some destabilization because people would think, oh, are we the problem? Are we not living up to that person's standards? And so they left, when the answer is no. No. Unequivocally, no. Mm-hmm. I don't need
that was kind.
Yeah. But so why was it so pivotal for you? Because that's gratifying for me to hear, because I went on a lot of long walks thinking about why it was okay and why I shouldn't jump in.
I drug it out for too long. Mm-hmm. Right. That was a lesson learned. Right. I drug it out for too long, and it made me nervous. I didn't want to hurt the person's feelings.
Right.
And I wanted to protect the people that needed to be protected. And those people were our team. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen by dragging it out. Right. I protected him. That was not at the benefit for the team. Mm-hmm. And I had anxiety leading up to this. And I'm not a very anxious person. But leading up to this, I'm like,
Firing people is really hard.
yes.
Especially when you're not a sociopath.
Yes. Yes. In the moment of it, walls fell for me.
What do you mean?
The anxiety that was here, gone. And it taught me a lot about the anxiety we bring to situations that we believe are going to come about a certain way, right? Like, this person is going to respond this way. I'm going to have to figure out how to respond, right? There's just so much anxiousness brought into the idea of it as opposed to the act of it, right? When the act of it happened and the response was actually different than what I was anticipating.
What were you anticipating and what was the response?
I was anticipating anger. What I got was sadness. There was certainly angry undertones.
And the sadness didn't hurt more? For me, sadness would hurt a lot more than anger.
Yeah, it yes and no, because it felt like a ploy.
So you didn't believe it?
I didn't believe it.
Okay, so that's different.
Right. And it was concrete. This was the best decision. And I feel zero anxiety around it being the best decision.
So what did you, but then you went and told the team that this person decided to leave.
Yeah.
What did you learn
Well,
from
we
that?
told the,
That's the part that's the part I'm interested in.
we not only told the team that, we told our clients that.
Okay.
That was also a mistake.
Why? What? First of all, why is it a mistake to do that?
Honesty, transparency.
Yeah, but what's the ramification of the dishonesty there? Right? Like, my kids still believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
At least 3 of them. but that, like that, what's the what are the ramifications of that?
That it'll happen again.
Who cares?
So the team would care about us being honest with them.
Agreed. But
We're talking about the clients.
if they never found out,
If the clients never found out.
if anybody never found out,
So if we never said anything.
it was just, hey, we.
I see. If we never told them,
So you went back and told them, actually, this is what happened.
the team, yes.
Our clients.
The clients, no.
Okay.
The ramifications of not saying anything at all is that there's a different type of control over the narrative, and which is fine, actually, because I believe the people that come to us and are in our culture know that the person that goes and talks poorly about us is the problem. They know that they're the problem.
Right. So my thought to share with you where I felt like where I was struggling is, if our clients believe that person left and that person has a lot of interaction with our clients,
Which they
then,
did.
right, then the question becomes, oh, so do I leave too? Like, do I
see the clients.
Yes. Do I stay with them? Like, did they mistreat you? Because we don't have assholes on our team.
Right.
So you're a nice person. What did they do to you? Why did you leave? Instead of, why'd they let you go?
How is that different from the control in the narrative?
It's not. It's not about controlling anything. It's about sharing a thought without telling anyone what to think.
Right.
It's saying, we decided to let this person go because we believe we can do better than we were able to do when they were here. As compared to, this person decided to go for something that they are more inspired by, or they were uninspired by us. There's no other way around those two. And so if I'm a client and I find out from an employer that the person who was my direct contact decided to leave, my question to them is going to be very different than if I was told this person was let go. Maybe I wasn't getting high quality service all along. I probably wasn't. If that person decided to leave, my thought might be, oh man, I wonder what this person could have done if they would have let him do what he wanted to do.
I see what you're saying.
Where if I wasn't getting the quality of service that I wanted and I found out this person got let go, Now we as a company can come apologize to that person for underserving them for a while, make it right. And they're like, yeah, I was definitely getting underserved, and I appreciate you guys coming to me.
That's what happened on the second time.
Go ahead.
The second time I let someone go was handled differently.
Right.
The clients knew that it was performance and that person no longer was bought into the mission that we had here at Active.
How do you share that? Because I know you didn't trash anybody.
No, absolutely not.
So how did you say it this time?
It's the message that went out individually to this person's clients was something to the effect of, I just want you to know that this person is no longer on our team. The reason being is that we have a very specific mission here at Active Life that has standards that we cannot go without happening. This person is not upholding those and doesn't want to fulfill on the things that are required.
And what was different about the response the second time?
They were grateful. They were grateful for the message, and it opened the door for them to unload on the reasons that they believed they were being underserved, which happened.
Oh, I know. I know it did. Which is so brutal because we try, like, we're working so hard, and it's so, it's such a setback when you hear from clients that they're not getting everything that we claim they're going to get. Because our ambition is to give them more than we told them they're going to get.
Right.
And so many of our clients get that. And so it's always a, why didn't we do this sooner?
Always.
So how did you learn the lesson? Because I didn't call you and be like, hey, tisk tisk, Tana, you kind of blew this one. So how did you learn the lesson from round 1 to round 2? Because that is not a small incremental improvement you made. That is I swung out of my shoes on that curveball and looked a fool. If he throws it again, I'm putting it on the street behind the left center field fence.
Right.
That was the difference.
Right. Yeah. Observation, looking at the responses, listening to the responses, having conversations with the team, having conversations with clients, and knowing, like, this is on you. That was your fuck up. When that comes around again, you're going to respond differently.
What is the thing that makes you most proud to be a part of this team?
The relentlessness. I'm so proud of the relentlessness from our team and our clients and their commitment to each other and the mission.
Why is that something that you're proud of?
It's unique. The culture here is so unique. This is a culture both on our team and with our clients that is a when you win, I win mentality. It's not a you won, why isn't that happening to me?
This is such a hard thing for people outside to understand. How would you try to explain to somebody from the outside what they don't know about what culture could be?
I think it starts in small steps, right? Like when someone complains about their job or the environment of their job, it's like, what if it was like this?
What do you mean? You're talking about I think what you're describing is like your friend works at Macy's and they complain about working at Macy's.
Sure.
And you're like, it could be like this. I'm not talking about them.
Okay.
I'm talking about people who are looking to work with companies like us. There aren't companies like us. People who are looking to work at companies that they think are like us are used to being a number to the company. It's, I have these unique needs. Yeah. Everybody has unique needs. We're going to meet you where you need to be met. Then you come in, you get a template, and everyone does the exact same thing. And the owner of the company wouldn't know your name if you ran into them in the street and introduced yourself. The people who are on the sales team don't remember you the second after you buy. You ask for a refund because you got nothing that you were promised, and they tell you, we'll just give you the next thing for free. And you're like, why would I want the next thing for free? The first thing sucked.
Right.
This is what people are, come to our event. It's all give. I love to give. And you show up at the event and it's just a big cock tease to get you to buy something. This is what people are used to from our industry. How would you speak to them so that they can understand how this is different?
You speak to them in the language that they present what they want, right? They're not coming in with something that we don't provide.
I'm asking you to talk to a coach listening to this right now and help him or her understand what's different.
Yeah. The biggest thing that's different about coming into this culture is that when someone needs help or support, it's not like, yeah, go look over there. It's, I can help you with that. Or, I know that this person is excellent at that. Let me connect you. Mm-hmm. It's not go search and hope that you find it. It's guided. It's pointed. Clear. And our team doesn't need to know everything. They need to know how to find it. Mm-hmm. I don't need to know all the answers. I can tell you where to find them.
Right. And I also think, to go even a layer deeper, it's, why is that the thing you think you need to know? Mm-hmm. Which I don't think happens in most other places. Like, hey, what should I charge? $150. Why are you asking what you should charge? Is a totally different question.
Sure. You're talking about people getting almost unsolicited advice without understanding the complexities of the situation.
No, I'm speaking to, I'm working with Mentor X. Mm-hmm. What should I charge for personal training? $80. Okay. I'm working with Active Life. What should I charge for personal training?
Yeah. Then we want to figure out where they live.
Where do you live?
What's the median household income?
What's the income where you are? What's
many
your
clients?
confidence level look like?
How many clients do you want?
All of these
How
things.
many hours do you want to work a week?
And why to all of those? Mm-hmm. Why to all of those? And when we tell you what the price should be and you say, I can't charge that, why can't you charge that? What would have to be different so that you could say, I can charge that? Mm-hmm. How do we start to help you prove to yourself that those things actually are different? That's not common.
No.
I was on a call today with Coach Catalyst. They're a programming software. And I had no intention of selling Active Life at all on the call. I told the host, I said, look, you interview me. I'm ready to deliver immense value to your listeners. And I'm just going to answer your questions. And one of the questions he asked was, if there's a coach listening to this right now who wants to be a career coach, who is really passionate and they're kind of struggling a little bit right now, they can see that they would love to do this for a career and they're not exactly sure how they would do it. What's the simplest piece of advice that you would give them? And I was like, I used to come onto podcasts like this and say, I don't care who you do it with. Get yourself a mentor. Someone out there knows more than you do about what you're trying to learn, and you can reduce the amount of time you spend by working with somebody else. That's what I used to say. And that was a massive disservice to everybody who heard it, because it's not true. You should come to us. You should get on a call with a team member at Active Life to identify if working with us would be a fit for you to live the life that you want to live. Because we regularly turn people away, recommend them to other companies when their values and their goals are a malalignment with our values and our goals. And we don't want to drag you through a meat grinder if you're not going to enjoy it.
We're not going to do that.
Right.
Not that we don't want to. We will not.
We won't even sell it to you.
Right.
We have testimonial videos of people who came to buy who were told not to. Mm-hmm. And so I share that with this group, and it was the first time I've ever really done that on a podcast with someone of that kind of influence, of that kind of person, like that kind of a client, they're coaching clients. And it felt good because it felt true. You know what I mean? Like it's just, we're not playing the same game differently. We're playing a different game.
Right. We are one of one.
We are. Who's your favorite kind of client to see come into active life? Coaches are listening to this right now and they're like, well, she sounds pretty awesome. I would definitely want her to advocate for me. What questions should they be asking themselves about, are you this person? Because if they are, they should reach out. And if they're not, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And please, before you do, not in platitudes. Not like hard workers, yes. Lazy, no. Right. Obviously.
Right. The kind of people that should come to us should be sitting down, writing things like, what are my goals? And not broad. They should be specific. Mm-hmm. What do I think limits me? Write them down. Not broad, specific. Right? By specific, I mean like I want to be home by 5 p.m. every day.
You're saying they should be doing this already, or they should be ready to do this?
They should be. If they're listening to this, they should start doing this right now.
So the person who hears you say that and starts taking the action of doing it is the person who might...
Yes.
Okay, so keep going.
So action takers. The person that's going to show up and not only take the action, they may even question the action.
Go on. Right? What do you mean by that?
So what I want is the kind of person that doesn't do things because they saw it on Instagram or they thought it was a good idea. Mm-hmm. I want them to challenge it. Mm-hmm. Why would I do that? That's my favorite kind of client.
So let's dive into that. There's a difference between why would I do that and why would I do that?
Right.
What's the difference?
The difference is I don't believe that's a good idea, and help me understand. I believe you. Mm-hmm. Help me understand it so that I can articulate it and fall back on it.
So you said, the way you said those, it kind of sounded like one. What you were saying is, one is, I don't believe you. Mm-hmm. The other is, I don't understand why that's a good idea. I need your help understanding it because I trust you.
That sounds better.
Well, you said the same thing. I just gave a space in between the two sentences. Have we had both?
Yeah.
What do we do when we get the former?
The one that says, I don't believe you.
Because what we know with I don't know, 99.976% certainty is that when we ask you to do things, if it's aligned with your values and you do it, it works. And if it's not aligned with your values, it's probably because you don't understand it well enough and you haven't asked the questions, and we haven't done a good enough job of asking you why you think it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Because you've been with us, which means we're value aligned. Mm-hmm. You got through the gate. So what do you do when someone's like, I don't think so?
Typically the thing is you go back to what you learned about them in the beginning and the agreement that you made. So an agreement I make with all of my mentees when they come in is, listen, we will give you the plan. We will guide you. Ultimately, this is your journey. What you and I have to agree on right now is that you're going to do the work. I will be relentless in my commitment to help you. Mm. You have to take the action. You going to do that? Yes. When that doesn't happen, hey, remember in the beginning when we had that conversation and you said that you were going to take the action necessary to get all the things that you listed that you wanted, right? That success, that light through the forest. Yeah. Do you believe you're doing that? No. Do you believe you're capable of doing that in the current space that you're in? No. What are we talking about then? Mm-hmm.
What's a parting thought you'd like to share with people listening to this so that they can know they have no doubt about who you are?
Parting thought.
I'll ask it differently.
Okay.
We pull every client and every team member under your purview. How would you like them to describe you?
I would like people to describe me as relentless, passionate, driven, gritty when necessary, empathetic, grateful, and hungry.
Okay. And I asked this question of Mary also. What do you think has to be true about you for you to live into the most complete version of yourself that you could possibly be? Like if you were going to work towards, I should ask it better. I asked her better. It's not fair. If you were going to work towards a sentence to describe yourself that would force you to fulfill on everything that you aim to be, what would it be?
Relentless forward momentum.
So you're saying as long as you have relentless forward momentum, people will want to be around you, and you'll want to be around yourself.
Yeah.
Natana Flynn, thank you for joining the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Turn Pro. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life Podcast. Please remember, give us a hand, rate it, review it wherever you listen to shows. We are on a mission to humanize the healthcare industry by professionalizing the fitness industry to empower the individual to live a life unlimited by the way that their body looks, feels, or performs. If you are inspired by that mission and want to jump on the wagon, find us anywhere. Active Life Professional on Instagram, Active Life RX on Instagram. Come to me personally at Dr. Sean Pastuch. We want to welcome you onto the train. We want you to be a part of the mission. We want to offer you the opportunity to pursue this right alongside us. We're inspired by your effort, and we hope to help you in your journey. Turn Pro.